Welcome back to GLASP Deep Dive. Today, we're doing NotebookLM. And I have a confession. I tried it back in 2024, made one slightly robotic podcast out of a PDF, said cute, and wrote the whole thing off.
Which was a fair verdict at the time. But the tool you wrote off no longer exists. Google shipped more NotebookLM updates in the past 8 months than in the previous 2 years combined.
That sounds like a press release until you actually read the changelog. And it creates a real problem because half the advice published about NotebookLM in 2025 is now simply wrong.
So today is the sorting exercise. Which updates change how you actually study, and which are demo material? Our source is a verified changelog. Every date and number checked this June.
Quick map of where it stands first. When I tried it, the whole pitch was chat with your PDFs, upload documents, ask questions, get a podcast.
And the thing carrying that name in June 2026 is a research agent. It finds its own sources on the open web, runs on Gemini 3.5, and generates animated videos from your notes.
One housekeeping note before we go deep. If you're deciding whether to leave NotebookLM, we did a whole episode on the alternatives. Go listen to that one for the switching question.
Right, that episode is Should I Leave? This one is what the product actually is now, with the verified current numbers, because pricing moved again just days ago.
Okay, the headline change. You said it finds its own sources, which is the part that would have changed my 2024 experience the most.
November 13th, 2025, the deep research launch. You type a question, it drafts a research plan, browses for a few minutes, and returns a cited report plus a source list you import in one click.
And that kills what I'd call the blank notebook problem. The old tool was only useful after you'd already done the work of collecting sources, which is exactly where most people quit.
Exactly. No more cold start. And the June 8th update pushes further. Sources can now suggest themselves mid-chat as a project develops, though that piece sits on Ultra and Business tiers first.
The boring format gaps got fixed too, didn't they? I remember it being weirdly picky about what you could feed it.
Quietly, yes. Sheets, Word documents, images, and since March, EPUB books. And since I/O 2026, automatic drive sync, so a course notebook tracks the shared lecture folder without re-uploads.
Honest assessment time. Because every demo of deep research looks magical. Is the research actually good?
It's excellent for breadth and mediocre for judgment. It will surface 15 plausible sources on spaced repetition in 5 minutes, which beats an hour of manual searching.
But it won't tell you which 3 of those 15 are worth reading closely. And I guess it has the classic automated search problem, where SEO bait ranks and the paywall gems don't.
That's the failure mode exactly. Treat what it hands you as a draft bibliography, not a finished one. And free users get 10 runs a month, which we'll come back to.
Now the output side, because this is where the product got loud. When I left, the studio panel made an audio overview and a few text summaries. The menu now reads audio, 2 kinds of video, mind maps, flashcards, quizzes, infographics, slide decks, and data tables. Take audio first, since that's the feature everyone knows. Did it change?
It matured. The big move was August 2025, when non-English audio finally got the full-length conversational treatment in 80 languages. If an early Japanese or Hindi overview felt thin, it deserves a second look.
And the cinematic videos, March 4th this year. Those demos are all over my feed. Animated film-style explainers generated from your notes.
March 4th, Ultra plans only, with VO3 and Nano Banana Pro doing the visuals. Genuinely impressive, and for most learners, a curiosity, not a study tool. A narrated slideshow conveys the same information.
So if the flashy thing is a curiosity, what's the underrated story in that menu?
Flashcards and quizzes got progress tracking in March. Cards you miss come back, cards you know stay gone. And data tables turn a pile of messy sources into a comparison table you can export to Sheets.
All right, rank the whole menu for learners. Most valuable to least. No diplomacy.
Quizzes and flashcards with tracking first. Then data tables. then audio for commute review, then standard video, then infographics, and cinematic, dead last.
And there's a pattern hiding in that order. The formats that make you retrieve information beat the formats you passively watch. Listeners of this show have heard that one before.
We did whole episodes on active recall and desirable difficulties, and this ranking is basically those episodes wearing a Google product. Boring, but it keeps being true.
Okay, the chat itself. 3 engine swaps in 7 months sounds chaotic. What does Gemini 3.5 actually buy me?
Cross-source reasoning mostly. It became the default on June 8th, and a question like, where do these 5 papers disagree now, gets you the actual points of tension instead of 5 polite summaries in a row.
And do the chats still vanish when you close the tab? Because honestly, that was my single biggest annoyance back then.
Fixed in January, conversations persist now. Add the 1 million token context window on the free tier since January 2, and a semester-long conversation with your course materials is genuinely possible.
Give me the highest leverage 5 minutes that nobody actually spends.
Custom personas. Each notebook takes up to 5,000 characters of instruction. Something like, act as a tutor for a closed book exam. Always quiz me before explaining. Most users never open that setting.
That turns a summary machine into a teaching assistant. Okay, but this episode can't just be a parade. 4 structural frustrations survived this entire update wave, so let's give them real airtime. Start with the silos.
Notebooks are still walled gardens. Chat works inside one notebook at a time, and there's no search across everything you've ever saved. 4 subjects means 4 separate brains that never compare notes.
Second one, and this is the gap I feel daily. There's still no capture layer. No highlighting on a live web page, no annotating while a video plays.
The distance between I read something great this morning and it's in my notebook remains entirely manual. Everything enters through deliberate upload, or through whatever deep research finds.
Third, the meters. It feels like every action got a counter attached to it.
Chats per day, audio per day, deep research per month. 10 free research runs sound fine, until one weekend project eats all of them.
And fourth, the best features land on the expensive tiers first. Cinematic video is Ultra only, and the new source finding agent started on Ultra 2. The free tier grew, but the gap above it grew faster.
None of those are deal breakers, but they define what the tool is for. Deep work on a bounded, deliberately assembled set of sources. Which raises the question of where that set comes from.
Which brings us to a disclosure. GLASP makes this show, and that capture layer gap we just described is exactly the job a highlighter does. So weigh what we say here accordingly.
The honest framing is that the 2 tools are complementary. A notebook is only as good as its sources, and the most valuable sources are usually the ones you found yourself, scattered across months of reading and watching.
So the workflow is, highlight as you read during the day, timestamp the lecture moments that made you stop, and when a project firms up, export those highlights as Markdown and drop them into a notebook as a source.
Wide net plus deep engine, and both are free at the core. The limit runs the other way too. GLASP doesn't do cross-document synthesis. That's the notebook's job.
Fair trade. Okay, money. 4 tiers now. And you said the numbers moved twice in about a month.
At I/O 2026 in May, Ultra was restructured with a $99.99 entry tier, and the top tier was cut to $200. Then on June 9th, Plus dropped to $4.99 a month.
Who actually stays free? Because those meters sound roomier than I expected for a normal course load.
Casual and course-sized users. 100 notebooks, 50 sources each, 50 chats, and 3 audio overviews a day covers a typical student with room to spare. Just spend your 10 monthly research runs deliberately.
And $4.99 is the new sweet spot for the price of a coffee.
Since June 9th, yes. Doubled source caps, 200 daily chats, and daily deep research runs. If you hit a free tier wall more than once a month, that's the rational upgrade.
And Pro at $19.99 for people whose notebooks look like dissertations.
Thesis scale, yes. 300 sources per notebook and 20 research runs a day. effectively unlimited for one human. And Ultra is for teams and video production, not learners.
Let's close with the questions people actually type into a search box. First one, is NotebookLM free in 2026?
Yes, with all the meters we described. Paying mostly raises those meters, rather than unlocking different features. Cinematic videos and the newest agentic tricks are the exceptions.
Second, NotebookLM versus ChatGPT for studying. Which wins?
Different problems. NotebookLM grounds every answer in your sources and builds study outputs like quizzes. ChatGPT is the better generalist for explain it 5 ways until one clicks. Many students sensibly use both.
Third, does it work with web pages and YouTube videos?
As pasted sources, yes, links go straight in, and deep research pulls web sources for you. Capture while you're actually reading or watching? No. That's the gap we covered.
So where does that leave my 2024 verdict? Overturned, I think, but with an asterisk on the flashy stuff.
Here's the line I'd keep. The cinematic videos will get the headlines, and the retrieval features will get you through the exam.
And the layer that compounds no matter what Google ships next quarter is your own source library. That part is yours, not theirs. Want to go deeper? Full articles on glass.co. Just search NotebookLM 2026.
See you in the next deep dive.